Hello? Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Gladys. Welcome.
No place to go.
I love it when Gladys is on because she's in France and it's like 2 or 3 in the morning her time. It just goes to show. Oh, when there's a will, there's a way. Oh my gosh. All right. Who wants to say hi before we go ahead and get started? We've got people from all over the world plugging in tonight. So thank you so much. I'm really excited about this call. Yay, Sarah. California's in the house. I see Amanda, Shannon, Donna, Mace. Yay. Courtney, Ruda. I can always count on you. Yeah. All right. Miss Amanda Cozad, I see you too. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. The recording has started, so I'm going to mute everybody. But I do want you to know that the chat is live. So if you've got questions throughout this, feel free to chat. And at the end, I am going to answer questions and go from there. So Amanda, let me find you again so I can unmute you unless you have the power to unmute yourself. Here we go. All right. Amanda Cozad, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I sure can. All right. Well, thank you so much for plugging or for number one, asking to do this call. She reached out to me and asked for end of the year call with her team. And I said, you know what, if we're going to do this, let's open it up to everyone because I think this is information that everybody needs to hear. So thank you, Amanda, for that. I'm really excited about this material and excited to connect with everybody. So why don't you go ahead and get us started. Tell us a little bit about what you wanted from this call, why you decided to plan for it, and we'll get started.
Okay, hey Denise, so thanks so much for being on this call. So first of all, the reason I wanted to have this call was because it's important to end the year strong, but also to start 2016 strong. And one thing I love about you, Denise, is your ability to just cast the vision. So that's what I want from this call, is just to see what is Denise Walsh doing, what is Denise Walsh thinking, and just suck it up like a sponge. So, yeah, do you want me to just start right in with the first question I want to ask you?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get this going.
Okay, so first of all, I know we have a lot of new people on the call, a lot of people that have joined us. So first of all, would you just share for the people that don't know maybe a little bit about your story?
Absolutely. All right, so my name's Denise, and I have been a distributor with It Works for 8.5 years. Previous to this, I was a clinical psychologist, and my husband was an aerospace engineer. And although we had good jobs, you know, we went to college, we had the traditional job, it didn't take long in our fields to be tired, bored, and burnt out. You know, I got into the field of psychology because I wanted to work with and help people. And it didn't take long for me to realize it was more and more and more about policy, paperwork, and procedure, and less about people. So I remember being 26 years old, going through what they call a quarter life crisis. Like, you get out of school and like, you're off to change the world, and then you get your first job and you're so excited, and then things just start kind of fizzling out. That for me was what was going on. Like, I had big dreams, big hopes. I was so excited. I was on a mission, and then slowly my dreams started to shrink, and I started to say things like, I guess this is my lot in life. You know, I guess this is just my piece of the pie. I guess this is just what I'm supposed to do. And, you know, this is as good as it's going to get, and those kinds of things. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I was going through the motions. I don't know if any of you have ever felt like that, where you're just kind of going through the motions and living for the weekends. So I got to a spot where I was like, I guess this is just the way it's going to be. I guess this is normal. Right? Well, Brandon, on the other hand, has always wanted to be an entrepreneur. He's always looked up owning his own business, owning his own franchise, things like that. And he didn't want to settle. He didn't want to settle. He was someone who's always looking for something. You know, he was an aerospace engineer. It sounds cool, but he lived in cubicle world. Like, he was bored out of his mind. He did not want to stay there forever. And so he was always looking at something. But if you have know anything about franchises or anything like that, you know that they often are $30,000 to $50,000 startup costs. You end up being married to a storefront, and it wasn't something that we had. We didn't have $30,000 in, you know, cash hanging around. So it was always a pipe dream. Owning our business, we knew, was the way to have financial and time freedom, but we didn't really know how. So, needless to say, we met my sponsor, Cammie and Nathan Dempsey, at our small group at church. He told me about the wrap, but it wasn't until I had a vacation planned where I finally said, okay, I'm interested in trying more. Like, okay, now I want to try it. So a lot of times we're talking to prospects, we're talking to our people, we're letting them know what's going on, but they need to go through a transition point. People go through a transition every 6 months or so. Maybe they just had a baby and they're tired and they can't add one more thing, but 6 months from now they don't want to go to work. They are ready for something new, or, you know, maybe they started a job and they need to get burnt out first, you know, whatever the case may be, there's a transition coming, but we need to tell them now. And when the time is right, we want to be the people they go to. So for me, it was a vacation. That was the trigger. I said, Cammie, I need to be in a bathing suit. Wrap me. So she wrapped me. It worked. And I signed up to become a customer. I've ran a few marathons. I've always worked out. So preventative nutrition was really close to my heart. I understand it. I understand the goal of putting good nutrition in your body and allowing your body to do what it's supposed to do. So I really got excited about the supplements, and the fact that the wrap worked was just, you know, a kicker. So I started on the products. Brandon started to see the dollar sign. So he saw a hot sizzle product that nobody knows about. We are in, and we upgraded to become distributors 2 weeks later. Now, we had never done anything like this before. In fact, I asked Brandon, should I go back to school for business? Like, I don't know how to do this. And he said, no, that would be silly. But the reason I said that was because I understood school. You know, I knew school. I could do school. So I thought, maybe if I go back to school, I'll learn how to do this, you know, that kind of thing. And so I had a lot of learning to do. I had a lot of learning at the beginning because I was fearful. I didn't quite get it. It was totally outside my comfort zone. My dad was an accountant and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So I grew up in the worldview of go to school for, you know, a degree, work for 30 years, retire, you know, that kind of thing. So this was very outside and a risk, which my accountant father does not take very many risks. So when we first started, I had a lot of learning to do. I had to first bloom or grow my belief in the products. So I did that by taking the products myself and falling in love with them, taking my own before and after pictures, building my own confidence in the products by using them myself. And then I secondly got the wrap on everyone that I could. The more people I wrapped, the more confident I became in the products. And when you're confident and passionate about the products and know that people are going to fall in love with them too, you have no barrier to talk about it. You're just excited to share what you found. So we worked this business about 2.5, 3 years. We got to triple diamond, making 5 figures a month when we finally quit our jobs. So Brandon quit first in June for some reason. I don't really know why he quit first, but then I quit second. I quit in February, 6 months later or so. I packed up my office on a Friday, and then we went to Australia with Cammie, Nathan, and their 3 children on Sunday. And we spent 5 or 6 weeks in Australia wrapping as many people as we could. We did some marketing beforehand and had about 15 people signed up before we left, and we asked them to book our calendars. So we went from Melbourne to Sydney to Brisbane. And we had parties almost every night. We did wrap appointments every single day. We went out blitzing before there was even blitzing. Like, we went out and talked to people. We went to some BNI groups while we were there. We just worked to wrap as many people as we could. And I can tell you, I have never wrapped more people than I did during our Australia trip. And by the end of it, I had such confidence in the product. Now, I knew the wrap worked before I went, but if you're you know, if you're new, at least for me, when I was new, when I was rapping someone, it was really easy for me to pray while I was rapping and be like, please work, please work, please work, please work. And just have a little bit of nervousness or fear that they wouldn't like it or something was going to happen or whatever. But after that Australia trip, man, I knew deep down to my core that the rap worked every single time. The question was whether it was what it was going to do for you. You know, is it helping with inflammation or stretch marks or toning your skin or whatever? What is it doing for you? So my confidence in the product deepened. And when that happened, my belief and faith increased. The second thing I had to learn throughout my first few years in the business was belief in the industry, really, because for two reasons. Number one, this was very outside my comfort zone, very outside my normalness of thinking. Like I didn't have a brain cell for this industry. So it was very weird to me at first. The second thing is whenever I heard about people in it, I expected, you know, $500 a month, which is great, but it's certainly not crazy life-changing income. And when you have good jobs, you know, $500 a month is helpful, but it's, you know, not a deal breaker. So for me, I had to learn about the industry. I decided to get a PhD in because remember, I'm good at learning, like I'm good at school. So I read books. I read books about the industry. I read books about leadership. I read books about sales. I read books. I listened to audio stuff all the time while I was running, while I was on my drive to work and back. I just tried to absorb myself in this culture and in this industry. The second thing I did was I hung out with people who understood it and who got it. So that was, for me, was Cami and Mark Pentecost. So Cami was my sponsor. Now remember, she was Diamond when I first started, so she was making about $3,000 a month. Mark was the one that really worked to cast the vision for us by telling us what he had experienced. So I just listened. You know, I didn't talk much, but I just listened. I listened to their stories. I listened to the struggles they had, to the work ethic that they had, you know, the work that they put in and what they got out. And I started to just kind of follow that. I duplicated that. I meant, you know, I learned and then I did it. Cami told me one time that she wanted to beat Mark in his top, you know, he made it big in Excel for a few years back in the 80s, and his top check, I've been told, was about $76,000 a month. And again, this was back in the 80s, so I'm sure it was inflation. It would be different now, you know, higher now. But Cami always said she wanted to beat Mark. And I was like, you are crazy. Who needs that kind of money? I don't understand that. That's so weird. But you know what happened is that it started like sinking in. Brandon one time wrote on our whiteboard $86,000 a month. And again, I was like, that is crazy. You are weird. I don't understand that. But you know what? I saw it every single day. And within 2 or 3 years, we had hit that. And I can now proudly say, totally kicked Mark's butt. But those were the things that I had to see. I had to learn the industry. I had to learn that this was a viable business opportunity. It's just one way to own your own business without all of the crazy overhead, without having to, you know, learn how to launch in different countries and do shipping and logistics and do our own t-shirts, you know, without having to do all that stuff. We get to do the fun part, which is marketing and connecting with people, and let corporate take care of the rest. I've learned throughout my years in this business that this is the best way to own your own business because you don't have to have all that other stuff. So my belief in the industry certainly skyrocketed over my first few years as well. The third thing that I had to learn, another struggle that I had to work through, was belief in myself. When I got started, it was really Cami Dempsey and Melody McFarland. They were the two people who had been in it, you know, longer than me, that were experiencing success. Those were the two stories that we heard. And I'm not like Cami, and so I would watch her and I'd be like, good for you. But I don't know that I can do that. Like, good for you, but you know, do I have to be loud and obnoxious too? Like, do I have to be crazy? Do I have to, if you never met, she's awesome. She's awesome. But I'm not like her. And so a couple things happened throughout my journey where I realized I don't have to be like her. She's great at what she does and she can own it, but I can be great at what I do and own that too. So the first one happened when I was telling Brandon, you know, when you're comparing yourself to other leaders, this happens all the time, and it's just something we have to, you know, practice kind of reining ourselves in. But I would look at other people and I'd say, man, maybe I need to be more like that. Maybe I need to stand on chairs and yell like him does. You know, maybe I need to be, you know, the life of the party. Maybe I need to be more outgoing or more, you know, like a model like Carla, or maybe I need to be like all these other people. And I was telling Brandon, I was saying, you know, maybe I just need to practice being, I need to practice my weaknesses. I need to get better at my weaknesses. And he looked at me and he said, no. He said, you've always been a good friend. You're really good at calling people back. Like I've always been, I'm just be that. Just do that. Just be a good friend to people. And I thought, okay, I think I can do that. So then I practiced calling leads like they were already my best friend. And guess what? It worked a lot better. The second thing that I had this little aha moment was when my mom asked me one time, she said, so what do you do? Like, tell me, what is this that you're doing here? And I was telling her a little bit about how we lead with the wrap. We help people become healthier. We teach them about the products, but then we also help them get their business started. We go through time management. We help them with getting outside their own comfort zone, you know, whatever the case may be. And she looked at me and she said, sounds like you were made for this. And I was like, thanks, Mom. Like, this was so outside our wheelhouse that everyone thought we were crazy. And so for my mom to say, you're not crazy and you're good at this, and this is, you know what I mean? Like, for me, that was a huge validation that I could do it. And I think those three things at the beginning were things that I had to grow in, and I didn't know that at the time. I just kept learning. I kept showing up. I kept saying yes. And over time, my belief in the product skyrocketed, my belief in the industry, and my belief in myself. And when those three things lined up, I had no fear. I had less fear, right? We all still have a little fear, but less fear. I had more urgency, and just like I had my goal set, and I'm like, I'm going, and either you're coming or you're not, and I'm not about to wait for you because we don't got time for that. And so I really owned my own journey. For us, it took us a year to get to diamonds, another year to get to double, another year to get to triple, another year to get to presidential, and 5 years to get to ambassador, 8 years to go black diamond. Okay. I had a lot of learning to do. I didn't have a warm market that signed up right away. I really had to find that person and their warm market and that person and their warm market and learn things along the way. For me, my hardest step, I think, was between Ruby and Emerald, because with Ruby, you've got people just hanging out. Like they're just, you know, checking it out kind of. With Emerald, I had people that were identified as leaders. You know, I had people that were in it too. And I think it took me a little bit of time to find those key people. But I did, and things continued to evolve from there. So within about 2.5, 3 years, my husband and I were both able to quit our full-time jobs. That's when we went to Australia. We came back, we were full-time IT workers, and had to figure out what that looked like. We've since had 2 little boys, both redheads, which I think is so funny, age 4 and 2, who only know 2 work-from-home parents. We are making more in 1 month than we used to make in 1 year. So I have complete and utter faith in the company, in the industry, and I know we're just getting started. So my job now is to continue to learn. I love the success stories of other leaders in different companies, and we live in Grand Rapids, which is the home of Amway, and they own half the city, and they've just done so much to give back to Grand Rapids. So we've seen that, we've watched that, and we know that It Works is just getting started. The cool thing too is that Mark and Cindy grew up here in Grand Rapids, or raised their family here, and so they have the vision of Amway as well, but they knew that Grand Rapids couldn't be the place for it because Amway already did it. So in my mind, they are going to eventually have their own conference center in Sarasota, Bradenton, because you know what, if we can't fit in the Tampa one, we're just going to have to build our own. They are going to have a Cindy Pentecost Children's Hospital, and you know, they're going to continue to give back to their community because that's what they've seen here in Grand Rapids. So for me, my first few years were definitely getting out of my own way. You know, it's interesting. People ask, you know, what struggles have you had? And most of the struggles that I've had in the business have been internal, because what we do is not hard. It's not hard to say, have you tried a wrap yet? It's not hard to say, you know, let's get a wrap on you, or do you want to become a loyal customer or a distributor, or, you know, can you book a party for me, or can, you know, whatever it is. It's not hard what we do, but it's the internal struggles that keep us, that hold us back, that keep us from dreaming, that, you know, we cap ourselves. The fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of what if it all falls apart? What if it works? And now everyone's staring at me. What if, you know, all of these things, like what if, how will my family feel if I'm successful and I break out of this mold? You know, what, all of these things that just, it's just a normal part of the process. And I don't think that you can get started and get to ambassador without going through those trials and tribulations. It's just a part of the learning process. So for me, I acknowledged all of those fears. And I worked through them. And I think that throughout that, they became a little bit smaller and I grew in the process. So Miss Amanda, does that bring up any questions? I know you've heard my story probably a million times. Did I miss anything?
I have, you know what, Denise, but I heard a lot of other things. Like, I love hearing you, like, about Cindy. That's amazing. And I love that you said you were afraid and you did it afraid, and that's how you got less afraid.
Yeah, you know, I used to do, so Cammie, this is funny. Cammie used to be like, so do you want to go do this party with me? And I'd be like, okay. She'd say, are you going to go to the meeting tonight? And I'd be like, I guess I am now. Okay. She'd say, you know, do you want to lead this Australia webinar? And I'd be like, okay. Like I was scared every step of the way, but I always said yes. I asked Cammie one time, I said, did it feel like you were stalking me? Because I felt like you were stalking me. And she said, no. Now, she could have just been being nice. But I think she said no because I kept saying yes. You know, she'd say, hey, let's go do this. And I'd be like, okay, let's do videos. Okay, let's, you know what I mean? Like, I just kept saying yes to the next step that was put in front of me. And because of that, I have grown. I am not the same person I was 8 years ago, certainly. I took confianza before parties. I took confianza before expos. I faked it till I maked it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they just say, faith it till you make it, fake it till you make it, just own the part and then your emotions will catch up. I feel like I did that because I didn't come in with experience. I didn't come in with a network. I didn't come in with all that stuff. I had to learn and grow and develop every step of the way.
Wow. Awesome. Okay, so another question for you. Have you had any slow seasons? And if you have, what did you do during that time?
Yeah, so I've learned a lot about the industry, of course, over 8 years. And I don't call them slow seasons anymore. I call them planting seasons because here's the deal. This is what our typical cyclical business looks like in this industry. So, and I mean, really, every business has their ups and downs and ebbs and flows. The stock market, real estate, doesn't matter what it is. You have the ebbs and flows of any business. That's why Starbucks came out with the iced coffee. They found in the summer sales were dropping, and they had to brainstorm, they had to come up with something, right? So our seasons look like this. January through June, we double every single year. Your volume should double, your team should grow, that kind of thing. Then we have summer, and then we grow again, and then we've got winter or Christmas, and then we double again next year. So what I've learned during the summer months and during October, November, well, really the November and December months, that's my planting season. I don't expect as many closes at that time. Certainly, I mean, I signed a distributor last week, so they will close for sure. But that's really when I'm cultivating relationships. I'm joining meetup groups. I am meeting new people. I'm making it a point to friend people on Facebook and add them to my list and drip, 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 like their stuff, message them, build rapport, build trust. I'm planting seeds during this time. And what I have found is if you do not plant seeds during the planting season, you will not double come harvest. I've had people tell me, who are teachers, and they'll say, I'm going to work when it's summer. Like, let me wait until it's summer and then I'm going to work. And so they wait until it's summer and then they start, then I'm like, well, now you don't have anyone to talk to because number one, you're not by your teacher friends all the time. But number two, like you haven't been planting those seeds. So they start planting seeds in the summer and then by September, their calendars are booked, but it took some time to get there. So you want to be planting seeds now so that come January, February, March, crazy season, you have people to talk to and you've got people who are ready to say yes. The second thing I do during the planting season is I plug in. I plug into calls, I plug into to events. I get to every One Team, One Mission that I can. We do team dream board parties throughout this month, really helping people to connect with where they, what have they done this past year? What are they going to do this next year? I get to events because what I find is that when if I feel discouraged or I have a bad day or someone tells me no and I'm just like, it's very easy to pull away from the community. I think whenever I'm sad or down, pulling away from the community is one of the first things that it's easy to do. But in fact, the community is what I need. So if you're tired and you're like, oh, I don't know that I can get on a Sunday call, or, oh, some of you might even be saying a call the week of Christmas, oh my gosh, but that's exactly when you need to get on it. Whenever you're feeling like you don't, or you can't, or whatever, you have to get on it because there's going to be something that's going to lift you back up. You have the choice to stay motivated by plugging into calls, by plugging into leaders, by reading your books, etc. If you are not, that's your own choice. I choose to stay motivated by plugging in. I know if I'm not plugging in, then my energy can drain. So I plug into calls, events, etc. The third thing that I do is I read. I listen to audiobooks because I know that come crazy season, when I was going ambassador, I was like on the phone 8 to 10 hours a day. I was doing 5 to 7 parties a week with new team members on our team. I was running like crazy. I remember I went tanning on my phone. I'm like, I'm going to get cancer 8 different ways. But there's only so many hours in a day, and I didn't want to, whatever. So you just do what you need to do. And so when you're in crazy fast doubling season, when you're in the harvest, you're not going to have time to read. So now is the time to develop yourself, to read, to learn. Really be intentional about that during these few months. I know a lot of people who spend November and December trying a new product, taking before and after pictures, learning about something that they don't know much about. The next thing that I do during this season, the planting season, is I work to learn a new skill. So if you have a pen and paper, I recommend writing this down. If you've not read Go Pro by Eric Worre, it's a great book, and he talks about 7 skills to master in this business. And the first one is finding prospects. This is lead generation, right? Lead generation is Instagram, expos, parties, referral programs, Facebook, hundreds list, whatever. Finding prospects. Number 2 is inviting. This is important. This is one of the first touches you have with them, where maybe you invite them to a 3-way call, you invite them to the Facebook party, you invite them to learn more about the opportunity. Are you interested in learning about how to make some extra money? Would you be open to hearing more? Would you want to sit down with me? That kind of thing. Number 3 is presenting. This is the party pad presentation. You should know the party pad like the back of your hand. They say do the party pad presentation maybe 10 to 30 times before you really feel like you're good at it. So your first party is you're going to be just that, your first party, like you don't have super high expectations when you've never done it before. So you want to do it over and over and over again until you become an expert. I now am saying the party pad really thinking about my grocery list because it's so ingrained in my mind. Like, You just do your spiel, right? So number 3 is the party pad, which is presenting. Number 4 is follow-up. This is really important because I don't think you'll get the close if you're not following up. This is building trust. This is reaching out. This is saying, all right, when do you think you'll be ready? Is there anything that's holding you back? What other questions do you have? All that kind of thing. Number 5 is closing. When will you be ready to get started? When can you do your first party? Those types of things. And 6 is getting people started. So that's mentorship, helping them complete steps of success. And then 7 is promoting events. All roads lead to conference. All roads lead to the next One Team, One Mission, the next It Works You in your area, because you want to get your team around people who can help cast the vision, cast the belief, cast the confidence in the industry. The same things that I had to learn when I was new are a lot of times the same things new people have to learn. We have to get them around the wisdom and experience. So get your people to events as much as you can. So those are the things that I do. I master a skill. I find something that I'm not that good at, and I work to master it. I read. I spend a lot of time in personal development, listening to books, learning, growing. I plug in to stay focused, and then I meet new people. I make it a goal to be friendly, to say hi, to give people coupons, and just be open wherever I'm at, because you never know when you're going to meet that next rock star. So during the planting season, I am very, very intentional because I want to double come January. I want our team to double come January. I expect the harvest, so I have to plant now. And what I find sometimes is that people give up during the planting season right before their harvest is about to come. Now, the name of the book, Nikki, is Go Pro by Eric Worre. And let's see. So people give up during the planting season right before their harvest is about to come. And if we had one of our hardest personal years this past year. And guess what? We went Black Diamond. Isn't that interesting? Satan likes to bring you down right before you're going to shoot to the top. And he likes to distract you with life and emotional stuff. I think if I were to say what's the enemy of the business, it's like life and relation. Have very healthy relationships and no life, and you'll be just fine. But we are human, and so that can be hard to do. But I had to learn to compartmentalize and be like, that's sad, but I'm not going. But today I'm going to call leads anyway. Like, I'll deal with that later. Today I'm going to do, so I did a lot of calls. I did a lot of follow-up. I talked to leads. I talked to new distributors, even during life happening, because I had a choice to make. I did not want 3 years to go by for us to not hit Black Diamond and for that life event to have come and gone, and for me to say, we didn't hit Black Diamond because I was distracted by that event. I didn't want that to happen. And so I had to make a choice. And I think a lot of times people let life get in the way. They let life derail them, or they give up during that. Sometimes life happens right before you're going to hit Black Diamond. You know what I mean? Like, life happens right before that harvest is about to come. Life happens in that planting season, or, whenever it is, right before your team is about to double, because Satan doesn't want us to experience success. He doesn't want to have good people to have that stage to share his, the Lord's story. So I firmly believe that way too many people give up during the planting season and they miss out on their harvest. Carla Burns is an ambassador diamond who told me one time, it was in December, she was about a diamond. She was making about $3,000 a month, and she had a choice. Like, she was just kind of evaluating, do I stay? Do I go? What do we do? And she said, she firmly believed in It Works. And she said, I'm going to give it another year of head down, focus, intentional, building this business. And she went from $3,000 a month to $30,000 a month come March. Imagine if she had quit. Imagine if she had let the slow season or the planting season get her down. She would have missed out on her entire harvest. So I I do a lot during this time to get ready for January because I expect the harvest. I'm excited for the harvest, and I want it, and I want to double. So, Amanda, that's what I do during these months, and I know how important it is because I've seen the natural ebbs and flows of the business, and I'm excited for what January brings.
Okay, I muted myself. I'm writing notes like crazy, so I hope everybody else is too. Okay, so I have another question for you, and that is, you hit Black Diamond. So would you just share a little bit with us about that experience and what you learned through that?
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, Black Diamond means you hit $100,000 a month for 6 consecutive months. Now, I'm going to tell you some background on this story and then tell you a bit about what I learned while I was hanging out with Mark and Pam and stuff. So you'll get some insider scoops. But so in all honesty, I expected to hit Black Diamond in 2013. I thought we were going to hit it 2 years ago. And I kind of thought it was in the bag, like we got this, no big deal, right? So we had 4 months under our belt. It was month 5. And I kept thinking 98, 98, 98, 98, 98, 98, 98, 98. Wouldn't it be so funny if we hit 98, we lost Black Diamond by $2,000, wouldn't it, blah, 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 blah. I just kept thinking it. And so Pam calls me when checks are posted and she says, Denise, you didn't make it. It was 98. And I was like, what about fast starts? Like anything, come on, throw me a bone here. And I said, Pam, I have been thinking 98 all month. And she said, Denise, you did it to yourself. So 2013 or 14 came around and I was a little mad, a little bitter, a little bit like whatever, so I had that like, we're going to go Black Diamond. Yeah, right. We're going to blah, blah, yeah, I had that little seed of doubt that happened in my heart. It was just like, yeah, right, whatever. We'll see what happens, blah, blah, blah. So if any of you have gone for a goal, I'm going to go Ruby, but yet you have that little seed of, we'll see if that, I'm finally going Diamond. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We'll see if that happens. That little seed of doubt that plays in your mind, that was what was happening to me in 2014. Yeah, right. We'll just see. So guess what? I didn't fully fight for it. Of course I wanted it, but something was holding me back because I didn't quite believe that it was going to happen. And so that yeah right kept playing in my mind. Well, 2015 happened and I was determined. I said, you know what? Screw this. Like something's going to change. And so we did a few things differently this year, but one of the things that we did was we held a party in August for our double diamonds and above, and it was called the Come As You Will Be 2025 party. We had a banner that said, welcome to your future 2025. We had everybody come dressed as the character that they will be in 10 years. So the hardest part about this party is that you have to plan, like you have to really think about what do you want? What do you want in 10 years? What do you want what do you want your life to look like? What do you want your family to look like? Where do you want to live? I mean, my boys will be 14 and 12. What? Like, what are they going to be doing? What are we going to, like, what are we going to do in 10 years? And what do I want my family to look like? So I created a business card that said triple Black Diamond, meaning all of our spots, Brandon, me, Brandon spot, he's also ambassador, and then our 2.0 spot are going to all be over 100 grand. I said, as seen on American Ninja Warrior. I said, as seen on Oprah's Favorite Things and New York Times best-selling author. And then what else did I say? I said, oh, and then I had a lanyard. Brandon made me a lanyard that said like a TED Talk. And I talked about how I had just come back from my first TED Talk that went viral. And it was so crazy. So those are the things that during this during the process of getting to this party, I had to really think about what I wanted. What do I want? I think half the battle is, guys, we don't know what we want, so we don't know what we're working for. Or if we say what we want, we feel guilty for wanting it, or we don't think we should get it. You know, all of those things that play into it. So I spent a lot of time this year really thinking about what I wanted. And the goal of Black Diamond went from my head to my heart. It went from, we're going to do it, yeah, right, to like, oh yeah, no, heck yeah, we're going to do it. Like, if I want to be triple Black Diamond in 10 years, like, we got to start cranking this out. Like, we're going to do it. And the belief went a little bit deeper. So we had 4 months under our belt. Again, this seems to be the ebbs and flows of the season. We had 4 months under our belt. Month 5 was July. And I kept thinking 76. I don't know why. 76, but I knew how dangerous that was. So then I would go 103, 103, and I put 103 everywhere. 103 on my mirror, 103 on my car, 103 on my phone, 103. So then I would go 76, 103, 76, 103, 103, 103. So, you know, and I was like focused. I had to intentionally decide to ignore that and focus on 103, 103, 103, 103. It was 102.5. Mark Pentecost texted me at the 2025 party. We were at the party and said, you have month 5. He's like, barely, but you have it. And I was like, and so we were, I mean, what a great time to hear that. And we were just like, oh my gosh, woo! And I remember Barbara Bozer, who's an ambassador on our team, said, you cannot let this slip by. So month 6 was August, and I did not want it to be as close again. So I kept thinking 113, 113, 76, 113, 113, 113, 76, 113, 113, 113. I put 113 everywhere. I declared 113. I was like 113, 113, 113. I had people message me telling me that they that we were in the 130s. I had someone message me and tell me they had a dream that I was running for president. Like, I had people messaging me telling me they were having dreams about us hitting it. I had just had there's all this positive energy going into this. And so I just kept going 113, 113, and it was 131. Thank goodness. Thank you, dyslexia. And something changed. Something changed during those months, because it was certainly, I still had a little bit of fear. I mean, who doesn't say they're going to do a big goal and have a little bit of what if it doesn't happen? Like, that will be so sad. But I didn't spend time there. I spent time focusing on what I wanted. I spent time focusing on, I think I wore, Cammie gave me her Black Diamond jacket that I wore throughout all of our Zooms in August. Like, I was head down, focused all of August, and making things happen. So we're at the Black Diamond experience, which was honestly so amazing. Like, my jaw was dropped most of the time, because we're in a private plane. Like, oh, we land and a limo's there. They seriously put out a green carpet. We take the limo, you know, we're in a helicopter to the island. It's like your own all-inclusive resort, because of course everything's catered. So we have 9-course meals every night, beautiful views, everything's taken care of. We're on the island where Thomas Edison and the battery guy, which I forget his name right now, but the battery, they like used to spend time there, and they brainstorm there, and dreams happen there, and, you know, all these things, and you're just going like, whoa. And so throughout the first day of the Black Diamond experience, I had these negative stinking thinking thoughts happening. And some of them were saying, do you deserve this? Do you have people giving you evil eyes through Facebook? You know, do you have people like, is this, Joel and Stephanie, who are there too, they have more of a rags to riches story. They cry a lot during their story. We don't have that kind of story. We have a survive to thrive story. Is their story better than ours? You know, did we, you know, there, all these things just kept popping up, Do we, blah, 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 you know, just little chitter chatter in my mind all throughout the $5,000 shopping spree. So you can see how distracting that is, you know, trying to enjoy this experience and viewing it as a gift, but yet having this negative chitter chatter going on throughout my mind. So the next day I went for a run, And which whenever I have 0 children, I'm like, I am running. I don't care. I'm like using this opportunity to work out. So I went for my run. I listened to The Strangest Secret, and I just decided, you know, those thoughts are there, but that's not where I'm going to spend time. I am going to fully appreciate and enjoy this journey and be grateful for the experiences that we've had. And when I got done with my run, I had a message, and the message was from somebody who just went diamond the day before. And she said, July green carpet changed my life. I am a better person. I've invited God back into my life. We're tithing again. My family's going to church again. And no matter what, if I make no more money with It Works, my life and my family are different because of this. Thank you. And that's Allison. Aw, Allison, I've told you, you're going to make me cry now. I've told her story like 8 times. And she's on the webinar. Okay. Whew. Allison, that was you. And so, and I told Mark and Cindy, so now everyone knows. And so during that time, I just thought, we're supposed to be here. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. We're doing what we're supposed to do, and we get to go on crazy island trips. Like, this is insane. And I just have to be grateful for the experience that we've been given. Whew. Okay. Because all I did was say yes. All I did was say yes to the next step that was put in front of me. All I did, if God told me 10 years ago, you're going to be speaking in front of 20,000 people, I'd be like, what? But that's what conference is going to be this year, you know? All I did was say yes to that next step, yes to the journey, yes to, you know, that next thing. And here we are, 8.5 years later. So I was at a training months ago, and they said to pick a word that took you from this place of funk, the stinking thinking, the do you deserve it, you don't deserve it, you're not good enough, you're, you know, all those things that happen. That's just part of being human. Those stinking thinking thoughts, and takes you to a place of focus. And so the word that I chose was destiny, because this is where I'm supposed to be. And I believe every single person on this call is supposed to be here too. Whether your destiny is fulfilled through your team, working with, loving on, believing in people, helping them with their health, with their finances, all that kind of stuff, or It Works allows you to the time freedom and the resources to do what you're supposed to do outside of this business. You know, I believe that your destiny can be fulfilled within or because of It Works. And so for me, the word I chose was destiny, because who am I to say no? Who am I to say no to what God has in store? I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it because I'm distracted by life, or because I'm letting that chitter chatter derail me, or I'm not fully engaged in the process because I'm having all these fear thoughts in the back. And so my challenge to you is to pick your own word. What word for you is going to take you from that place of funk to that place of focus? What word for you is going to make you go, you know what? This is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. What is going to take you out of that funk and into enjoying the journey that you're on? Pick that word for you. And so what I want you to do now is I want you to really think about this past year. What have you learned? How far have you come? What is different in your life? You know, years ago we did a Christmas card, and the Christmas card said, we have the same, you know, I have the same husband, I have the same job, I have the same 2-week vacation, I'm in the same house, like nothing really has changed this year. Same old, same old. And then a few years later, I wrote a Christmas card that said, we quit our jobs, paid off our house, and went to Australia for 6 weeks. Like, okay, here we go, game on. What did your Christmas card say? Are you in the same spot that you were last year? Are you better? Are you worse? Have you made movement? Now, listen, I didn't say, have you hit your goal? It took me 8 years to get to Black Diamond. To be honest, I didn't know that was my goal when I first started. Things kind of evolved over time. But the question isn't, did you hit your goal? The question is did you make progress? I think that we completely underestimate, oh, I'm sorry, messed up. We completely overestimate what we can do in a year. We overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10. Because it's that snowball effect. It's at first you're pushing a boulder uphill, and all of a sudden it's going downhill, and things start, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4 anymore. That's exponential growth. That's residual income. That's when things start going crazy. So my question to you is, first, evaluate this last year. Are you where you want to be? And if not, why not? Did you let life happen? Did you not carve out enough time? What was it that was holding you back? Did you have some fears that were holding you back this past year where you didn't go 110% in? What was it? And then I want you to take a look at this next year, 2016. Now, do you know what you want? Do you know what you want? The difference maker for me this year was being very clear on what I wanted and believing that I could get it. Not just here, but here. So what do you want? What do you want this next year? What do you want in 2016? And then do you believe that you can get it? One of my favorite books this past year was The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. If you have not read it, you need to get the audiobook, listen to it over and over again, The Success Principles. And the follow-up to that is The Aladdin Factor. I got this as a present, actually, and The Aladdin Factor, and it was awesome. It was all about knowing what you want and asking for it and being okay with asking for it. And as a yellow, that for me was something I have to practice. I have to become decisive in what I want and then ask for it and not feel bad about it, right? So those are things that I have been practicing this year that have really been helpful for me. So those are the 3 things that I want you to do, just, in light of all of this year for me, the culmination of Black Diamond, the experience, all of that. Find your word, evaluate this last year, 2015, what worked, what didn't, and where you want to be in 2016. What do you want? And then believe that you can get it. So I'm going to end, Amanda, with some insider scoops on what I learned during the cruise and hanging out with Mark, Pam, and Mike. And I want to unmute you for a minute because you got to go on the cruise. You earned your spot. And how much fun did you have?
A ton of fun. It was fun.
Yes, tell us a little bit about your experience and why everybody needs to make sure they're on it next year.
So my experiences, guys, just like any event, just like our big events in January and February, it's not something you can bottle up and bring back and really share. It's the feeling that I got. It was being around all the like-minded people, but then being around them and really watching them and having conversations with them and just knowing deep inside that they are no different than me, right? They are no different. They just kept doing it. And that, Denise, was huge. And then just being around the company and knowing that it's more than this crazy little wrap thing. Like, it is so much bigger than this crazy little wrap thing. And I'm not going to cry, but that's what I got, that everybody on that boat, another thing I love, Denise, nobody had big badges on, I'm ambassador, presidential, triple, it didn't matter what you were, everybody was on that boat because they earned a spot to be on that boat, and it didn't matter what your title was. I love that. So again, I was walking around thinking, I don't know if I even deserve to be here. Like, this is just unreal. And then the second thought is, no, everybody deserves to be on this boat or you wouldn't be on this boat. So I took away is just that I am here for a reason, and we get to do It Works and have so much fun doing it and helping so many people.
Yeah, it was seriously one of the best It Works events I've ever been to, even over Dash to the Destination, because we just had fun. We just laughed. We just played Cards Against Humanity and did karaoke, and we just laughed. We had so much fun. Nobody knew. You didn't know if you were talking to a ruby or a triple. It didn't matter at all. You just hung out and we just talked, and it was so much stinking fun. And I think sometimes when you're working your butt off like we are, you laughed. We just need to laugh. We just need to refuel our soul by laughing, right? So the cruise was amazing. One of the best experiences I've had. And I know that they had I know, Carrie, next year you will be there. No surgeries next year, right? So what I found is that they are going to do another one. They said pending if this one was good, and I have to believe that this one went well. But there's supposed to be another one in 2016. They are going to, from what I've heard, it's going to hold 4,000 people. And you have to be on it. You have to, whatever their goal is, double it. If they say you have to have a minimum of 10,000 points, make it your minimum to get 20,000 points, whatever it is, because you want to be on there. And I have to tell you, the pool of people who actually try, like most people give up before they even get started because they don't think they can earn it. How many of you on this call didn't even try to get on the cruise because you didn't think that it was something that you could do? So the pool of people that are actually trying isn't as big as you think. So you have to do everything in your power to get there, just to hang around, just to be around it and have so much fun. It was the best experience. I got to hang out. So, Mark, a couple other things is that people are going to earn the right to go to the island this year. So, the island has a big main house and a guest house. And then it has a couple cottages that have a pool in the middle. And then it has like a clubhouse in the middle where they're going to put a kitchen in, and it's going to be, where they have buffet breakfasts because everything's catered. Like, that's what you do when you go to this island. And so you're going to earn a spot to go to the island and experience it for yourself. And then next year in 2017, they're going to have ambassadors. This is really cool. They're going to have ambassadors paired up to do their own team contest. So they can bring their own group of people to the island. And it's going to be like our own team dash. And what I appreciate about that is they're going to pair up two ambassadors that are not on the same team. So it's like me and Susan Wade together. She's not on my team. She's another ambassador. And we would do our own contests, and corporate would help us with that to get people to the island. And the reason for that, again, is because they really believe in this one team, one mission. They want leadership. They want cross lines to get to know each other, to build trust, to have shared experiences, because we're the gel of carrying us to beyond a billion. What happens in other companies is that leaders can start bickering and start getting mad at each other, and then it's like, don't go to Joel and Steph's training because they are whatever, and then they say that. So it splits the company apart. That's what they've seen in previous companies, and so they're being very, very intentional for leadership here to gel and to get to know each other, which is one reason why they do Dash, so we can just hang out by the pool. They want us to experience the island together and that kind of thing. And I think that just goes to show the heart of it works. They don't want to be a fly-by-night company. They want to be around in 30 years, and they know they want to try to avoid the pitfalls that other companies have experienced. And one of the things is to gel the leadership. So whatever the contest is to get to the island, I want you to decide that that's what you want and work towards that as well, because it's so much fun. It's just one of those things that blows your own vision. We cap ourselves. We have our own glass ceiling. And when you go to an island like that, when you experience it, when you realize this kind of stuff is possible, all of a sudden your brain, your belief just goes a whole nother level. One thing to know about Mark is that he waited on this island for 4 years. He made 2 offers that got declined. One of them, they didn't even respond to him because they were like, oh, Mark. But he's patient. He knows what he wants, but he's patient. And he doesn't get too attached to things. So he knows if we're not supposed to have the island, we won't have the island. And they started looking at other things, and they paid cash for the island, 14 million. They had they had like another people got the offer, but it was a couple other, one was a Chinese guy who they had to get money out of a communist country, and so they didn't want to do that. One was an oil guy from Texas who was going to totally change the island and build it up or whatever, and the owners were like, we don't want to do that. They chose Mark because, number one, of course, it was cash, and number two, he wanted to use the island for what they intended it, which was for dreaming and loving. He just wanted to love the island like they did. So, but he didn't get it at first. He didn't get it. He had to be patient, and he had to stand firm, and he had to just trust the process. And eventually he got it, and it ends up being perfect, like perfect. It's a 20-minute helicopter ride from Sarasota. It's about an hour and a half drive to the dock, where then you can take a pontoon boat over. It's just crazy how things line up when you believe, when you stay focused, and you wait. You settle in and you wait. Not that you settle in and like hands up, all right, just waiting for it to come. He's being proactive, but he was being patient at the same time. So I hope you know what you have your hands on. I hope you know that this company really does care about the distributors. They care about you and your team. They care about helping you to become your best version of yourself. And they're not done yet. Mark, Mike, Pam, Cindy, they've got that fire in their belly. They're excited to take the business to a whole nother level. There will be another country opening soon. They've got the ability now with a new website to have pop promotions, to have BOGOs, to have, crazy, just little things to keep it spicy and interesting for us. All of the pieces are lining up to create that perfect storm. And I cannot wait to see what 2016 holds, because I know I've decided for us it's going to be the best year yet. So I'm going to end with this. For those of you that have never been through a December season with us, or with this, with any sort of company, know that now is your time to plant. Now is your time to meet as many new friends as possible. Now is your time to plant seeds, to build relationships, to build trust, because you guys, your harvest is right around the corner, and you do not want to miss out on what's next. Whew. So, Miss Amanda, does that bring up any questions for you guys or anybody else that's out there? Please feel free to use the chat or unmute yourself if you have something to add. I would love to hear, number one, your word. What is the word that you're going to declare that's going to take you from that funk to focus? What is your goal for this next year? Share it in the chats. Amanda, anything you want to add?
I just want to say again, thank you, Denise. You are so real, and that's one thing I love about you is your realness. So thank you for that. And I will say one thing that I heard was recently that really resonated with me, and maybe it might be my word, I don't know, but intentionality. So I think this year I had a lot of good intentions, but I wasn't intentional, and I got caught up in that. So intentionality.
You can have good intentions without being intentional. It's a good line. Good. I see believe, desire, savings, whoop, whoop, freedom, purpose, consistency, deserving. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh.
That was weird.
That was. Someone shared their screen on accident.
Oh.
Let's see if I can get it back. I want it to be me. There we go.
There you are.
All right. What else? Capable. Awesome. Determined. Worthy. Awesome. Guys, our job is just to bloom where we're planted. Our job is to take the opportunity that we've been given and just to keep saying yes. even if we're scared, even if we're afraid, even if we don't feel like it. You know, our job is to do the best that we can with the information that we have and to continue to get better. Because in my mind, it's either get better or get worse. And I don't want to be sitting, listening, reading romance novels, wondering where my life is going. I want to be fully engaged in the process. And I think we can do that with this business. So one thing I want to end with too, I just listened to Pam's call. And if you have not listened to Pam's call, we've been posting it around. It was seriously amazing. And when you take a look at the goal that you have for 2016, the next question, take it to a whole nother level, is how does it feel? Does it feel like it's going to be easy? Does it feel like it's going to be hard? How does it feel? And if you're saying, I'm going to go diamond, and that feels like a stinking mountain, we want to reframe how you're feeling, because what we want to do, because if it feels hard, it's going to be hard, right? What you want to do is really start thinking about, I'm working with people who want it. I'm working with people that are going to be rock stars. You're speaking life over your business. It doesn't mean that, you're just, I'm declaring I'm going to be 2.0 ambassador. And even though it feels like it's a challenge, I've decided I am going to sign up people that really get it. I'm going to sign up people that want it just as much as I do. I am going to work with the leaders. I am going to, all of these things. I'm going to stay focused on what I want instead of what I don't want. And guess what? Things start to fall into place. So listen to that call because she goes into more detail, but really spend some time over these next few weeks deciding your word, evaluating last year, and working on this year. January 5th is our dream board party we're doing here in Grand Rapids. We have created a Facebook event and a Zoom for it, so you can have your teams in your home doing your own dream board party. I'm posting questions to work through before you get there, because just like the 2025 party, it's really not about the event itself. It's about all the work that goes into it to prepare so that you personally are growing in the process. So if you're not on that group and you want to be, let me know and I'll add you, and then consider getting your own group together to plug into our Zoom so we can do this together. So let me answer a few questions. South Africa and Philippines. I would not be surprised if those are down the line. I know Asia is huge in this type of industry. People often say things like, I can't believe your company's volume is this big and you're not in Asia yet, because a lot of times Asia is their primary, like Amway and a lot of those companies, their biggest volume is Asia. And so we will be there at some point, but I do not know when. A lot of things have to happen. There's so many things behind the scenes with policies and languages and all these things. But all I know, this is on my dream board, is that I'm going to go to China someday. And or Thailand, I don't know, somewhere. And I am going to meet someone who's fully ambassador coded to me that I've never met before, who is ambassador themselves. And I'm going to say, nice to meet you. And it's going to be awesome with an interpreter. I'm dreaming of this already. I can't wait. All right. Well, hope you guys, thank you so much, Amanda, for opening this up to everybody. I appreciate you and your leadership within your team. Thank you to everybody for plugging in. Have a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Enjoy these next few days with your family and spend time answering these questions, because I'm excited and I hope you are too. So your harvest is right around the corner. See you next time.